Now, can you see, I mean, you can see his face, or do I need to move over a little bit?
No, you're fine. I've got you perfectly set up in your chair. So I've got you right here in your chair. So I've got you basically from the waist up, nicely framed against the wall.
Okay, but will he be looking at me instead of at the camera, or is that fine?
It doesn't matter. You can look at Christi if you want, or Christi. You can
I see her all the time.
I'll sit over here because that way he'll be more facing this direction towards the camera.
Okay, I'm looking at you,
And I'm going to
Christi.
go sit by Margaret because I
That's
can't
great.
see Frankie now.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
sorry about that. You go sit by Margaret.
You're blocking your mother?
I know,
Yeah.
I'm a rude that person that way. But Mom's the next interview, so she wants to see what's going on.
She's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that she can walk as good as you go.
Yeah, she got both knees done.
Just don't fall over that cable. That'd be.
No, I got over it. I saw it there.
All right, here we go.
How about the reflection on his glasses?
Looks fine.
You answer, Christi, right here.
Frankie Bishops, can I help you? Hello? Hello? Are you looking for Frankie?
Nobody answered?
Yeah. She wanted to. She was embarrassed because she heard the other woman in the house.
That's it.
No, that you know who that is. There's a lot of people call her that. I don't even know.
Telemarketers.
Yeah, and there's plenty of that. And a lot of times I don't even answer.
Yeah, I don't either at home.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ready? Hello, today we are interviewing Frank Bishop for the Moni Historical Project, the Oral History Project, in conjunction with Governor State. Frank was born on July 6, 1923 in Hazelcrest, grew up there for part of his life, and then moved to Matson, and then came to Moni at the end of World War II after he married. So what we're going to talk today about is a lot of Frank's reminiscences about World War II, about his time in the service, and some of the things he saw and did, and some of the experiences he had. So, Frankie, why don't we start out by telling me, if you tell me the story again about how you enlisted or how you were drafted.
From the day that I entered service, okay, the first day, I got my greetings, and they were no, they were not in Will County, in Cook County. And when I got my greetings, they told me to report to Flossmoor, to the board down there, which I did. And my best friend and I, we left the same day, and first we had to go over and get a blood test over in Chicago Heights.
What was your friend's name again?
Johnny Metzger.
Johnny Metzger.
He's deceased now. He just died. And so we were all planning that we go into service, we'd go in at the same time together. Well, it didn't work out that way. We went to Flossmoor, and we went downstairs and got with the lady that was in charge. It was a whole, well, maybe there was 15, 20 guys, something like that. And he says, you guys, we had your blood test all taken, and that's the first thing they want is your blood test. And they said, well, Johnny, that was my friend, you're not leaving today. Frank, you're leaving today. And I thought, well, this is pretty good. They're going to split us up now. We thought we were going to go together. And she says, no, his test tube was broken. So that's the way it happened. So when we went down there, we had my old car, and we drove down there together.
That was you and Gloria?
And Gloria, my wife, later on, was with us. And we went in there, and they told us, they said, well, Frank, you're going, she says to me. And I said, well, what about him? You know, never mind him. They were very nice. It's not a very sociable conversation. And she says, you will be on a train leaving Flossmoor with the rest of these guys. And I said, well, wait a minute, I got to go home. I take my car home. I got my lady friend with me. I'm going to take her home. And, oh, no, No. You're beyond the train. It's going to come into the depot in 45 minutes, and you'll be on it. Well, what did I do? All I had is my old pants on and a work shirt and a half a dollar. What was it? Half a dollar in my pocket.
And now you're going to be
It was
gone
a
for who
quarter
knows
or
how
half
long.
a dollar silver. Anyhow, it's silver, you know, and that's all I had. So I told Gloria, I said, well, Johnny can't go because his tube was busted. They get tomorrow morning. He'll have to have another test tube, and then they'll take it. So I said, well, the only thing I know what to do is you take my car home to my home and take Gloria home, and I'll see you. So I got on the train, and you couldn't tell this woman nothing. I mean, you couldn't
She
talk.
held all the cards.
Yeah, you couldn't talk. Couldn't say nothing. You wanted to tell her how you felt or what. You got to do this. You got to. No. You on that train right now. That's the way it was.
Do you still
I'll
remember
never
her
forget
name?
her. I remember her as long as I live.
Yeah.
I despised her because she didn't give me a chance. Anyhow, I got on the train. We went downtown, but maybe, I don't know how many fellows were with us. We went downtown, we went to an auditorium, and put us all in there, and we had to go in a row, I sat in a balcony with, we had, and then we're all sitting there, and then they give us a sheet of paper. A sheet of paper, we're supposed to take an IQ test, which we did. So when I went to school, I wasn't the smartest kid. I was average, but I was no good little baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had an IQ test, minor one. But the fellow sitting next to me, he kept punching me, and I was filling mine out, and I knew he wanted some answers, and I couldn't give him no answers because I wasn't sure what I was doing either, but I had an idea what I would do. I went from the top of the page and I shot right on down with my eyes, looked at all the problems, all the questions, and I see the ones that I knew and the ones I didn't know. So then I filled all them out. And that's the way I went through it. Then I got done with that, then I went back to the hard ones. And fill them out. So he kept bumping me, and they were watching us, and the fellow said, I told him, he says, leave them alone, fill your own out. Well, I couldn't help him. I would have given my answers, maybe got them wrong, but anyhow. So we got through that. Well, I think I had 82, I think that's what it was, or something like that, my total.
You passed, they took you.
Oh yeah, I passed, yeah. So I should have made it 0, and I wouldn't have passed.
I think you still would have passed. They still would have taken you.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we got done with that, and then he says, next thing you're going to do, you're going down here in a room, and there'll be doctors in there, and you're going to be fully examined. So we went in the room, all of us together. I don't know how many there was. There was maybe 10, 20, maybe 40, maybe 30, and they're getting lined up in a room. And these doctors, there was 2 or 3 doctors, and so everybody lined up, shoulder to shoulder, put your arm on it, and there's that other guy, and then strip everything off. You strip all your clothes off. Everybody's down bare, and then they send these doctors down the line, and they hit you from the front, they hit you from the back. So that's the way. And so I was next in about the 4th aisle, and the guy next to me was a big man, big guy, very big. His belly was way out, and he was way out of proportion, but he was a nice fellow, and he was almost crying. He didn't like the idea of just, with all the guys are laughing, and they told him, shut up. I don't hear nobody laughing, nobody doing nothing, and everybody be quiet. And then the doctors start going down the line. Well, they come around the back of us, and as they come around the back of us, they hit you, You know what I mean by hitting you.
Mm-hmm.
They check your prostate, your rectum, see if you're fine. And so that's where it all started. They got up to that heavy-set guy next to me, and they were coming this way, you know. And you had to put your hands on your knees and bend over. Well, he was over, you know. But when they got to him, they told him, the guy slapped him on the back and told him, bend over. And he told him, I'm over as far as I can go. And he couldn't go because his stomach was, you know. He said, I'm over as far as I can go. And then everybody started laughing, you know, and making a big joke. And they told us, screaming at us to shut up.
But you all passed that test too, right?
Yeah, it was a big go. Yeah. Anyhow, well, he got through it. And so then after we left there, you got your clothes on, you got all ready, and then he took you to another room. And then he asked you, you want Army or you want to go Navy? You got your choice at Army or Navy. Both sides pulling for you. And I said, I don't want to go Navy, you know. I'll go Army, you know. I thought about it. I almost went Navy, and then I didn't. I could have went Navy. So I went Army. And then that's where I wound up. Well, from there, then we went to Fort Custer, Michigan.
You got on a train at Union Station?
What's that?
You got on a train at Union Station and went to Michigan?
Yeah. They sent us by train to Fort Custer, Michigan. And then we went there and they put us in a great big building. And you had your cot and your bed. And then then we were issued all our clothes. You had to get in line and go through. And they knew your size and measurements and everything. And they threw you a package like that. And that's what you were. You were in the Army. So you got your... So right away when we got it, we were in this building. There was so many cots and so many guys. So the first thing hollering, because my name is Bishop, and when you start out with the letter B, you always get hit first. I always remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing they said, Bishop, go to the latrine. Well, I didn't know what they're talking about, a latrine, you know. You know what the latrine was?
I wouldn't have known it at the time, yeah.
Yeah, but the latrine is a bathroom.
Yeah.
And you, Bishop, you go to the latrine. They grab the first number, B. They don't go down to A, B, C, D, E, no. They take B, because that's the quick one. I found that out. So I didn't even know what they're talking about, latrine, you know. And then I asked a couple of guys, they didn't know either. So then we see a soldier we asked, he said, that's down at the outhouse down there, you got to go down there to the bathroom. And they want you to go down there and then you mop and you wash the bowls and you do a latrine duty. Okay, so I went down there and I had my barracks bag with all my clothes, you know, and then my cot, and I had it all stacked up on the bed. And so that's when they called me to go there, you know. So I was doing my job. I was mopping and I was doing the bowls and cleaning up. And there was nobody around. It was just me, you know. And then a guy come walking down there, and I didn't know him or nothing. And he says, what's your name? I said, Bishop. He says, you just get in here? I said, no, I'm with that outfit up there that just moved in the barracks. They moved out. They're gone. I said, you're kidding me. He said, they're gone. And I thought, gee. So I dropped everything, you know, and I took off and run up to that barracks where I was at. And the only thing that was in that whole barracks was my cot and my barracks bag sitting there. I thought, oh my God, you know. So I was worried then because I didn't know where I stood, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lose the outfit because I had met some of the guys and we were pretty good meeting. So I grabbed my barracks bag and threw it over my shoulder and I took off down the road. I asked this guy, do you know which way they went? He said they went that way. I said, okay. So that was to the railroad. I know that was where the railroad station was, so that's where they were heading. Big depot. So I'm running down the road. Got them barracks bags. I never forget. and a guy hollered, "Hey, you!" And I stopped. I said, "You talking to me?" And he said, "Yeah." There's two guys, two young recruits that just got officers' bars or something, you know. And they come up to me and they said, "Don't you know how to salute an officer?" And I knew it when I was in the Boy Scouts all my life, you know. I said, "Yeah, I give him a Boy Scout salute." And he said, "You better watch yourself." They were pulling a rank, you know. That's the way they do, you know.
Right.
And I said, "Sure, you're making fun of it right now, but someday I'll get back at you." So I made it down to the depot, and I couldn't. Thousands of guys, you know, lots of people, and they're all sitting on their barracks bags and they're waiting, all rows and rows, like Union Station. You been in there?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know. I could look at everybody looked the same. I couldn't see anybody that I recognized in our outfit, you know.
Yeah.
And some guy come up to me and he says, "You looking for somebody?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "My outfit moved out and left me. I was down doing a job that they put me on, and they didn't call me up there, and they left me. So I don't want to lose my outfit that I'm with." And he says, "Well, I'll tell you which one's just moved in here shortly."
Mm-hmm.
So he showed me, and then I see a couple faces there.
Hey!
Yeah, and then I got with them. So right away, they're hollering out over the speakers, you know, "Anybody out there know how to cook?" Well, I cooked in the I cooked the Y when Gloria was cook, her mother was cook. I cooked all my life, even when I was little. I just said, "Well, I might just take a shot at it. Here I go." I put my arm. Step out. I stepped out, had my barracks bag on me again, you know, and I left the whole outfit. And he said, "Bishop, you're going to go to the train that's taking your whole outfit out of here." And he says, "You're going to take the kitchen cars to Fort Custer, no, not Fort Custer, Texas, El Paso, Texas. And your train, when it leaves, you're going to be in charge. You have 3 kitchen cars. One is like a dining car, and there'll be 2 cook cars." Okay. And I says, "You want me to run that?" "That's right. That's your job. You got it." I said, "Okay.
Just like that, I'm in charge.
Yeah, I'll do it." And it didn't bother me at all. I felt like I was, well, is this something I know? I know it.
You found your niche. Yeah.
So I get in the kitchen car, and I go down there, and a couple officers come over there, and they talk to me, and they told me, he says, "Now, we'll give you all the help you want, and whatever you need. You want KPs, you want guys to work with you, you want second cooks, you know, you can have anything you want." So I picked out what I needed, and I got a few guys there that, one was from Detroit, and one from Chicago, and so I picked these guys out, and then we prepared the dinner, and not the breakfast. We did the dinner going down because they already had breakfast. But we did the dinner on the train, and then it was pretty nice. The kitchen car was nice. I had the stoves, I had all the grub was in the cabinets, you know, and it was all laid out right already.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. I said, "Okay." And then I turned to the lieutenant. He come in there, and a young guy, and I said, "Look, I want a couple of good guys that worked around the kitchen. I want these guys just to slice the bread, because all the breads were in loaves, and I want them to slice it, and I'll tell them the way I want it. And when they sliced it all and put it on the trays and everything, you know, okay, you got it. They give me anything I want it, you know." And so I put these guys to work, and they did what I told them, and everything went fine. And we had the kitchen car there that we were served, you know, and these guys would take the food out and serve it to the guys at the
How long
table.
did it take you to get to Texas?
Well, that's a hard question now. We left Union Station, let's see, 1 day, 2 days, It was over 2 days, 2.5 days, I think.
So when you got to Texas, were you cooking still?
We were laid out. We were laid overs too many times. They couldn't go right on through. I can't remember exact, but funny part of what we weren't just on a troop train. We were on a passenger train, like people like you know, and coaches, you know. It was a long train, and so we handled it all. I handled it all the way down there, and it worked out fine. When we got to where we were going in El Paso, we pulled in there, and they said, "Well, you're at your destination where you guys are going to go." And they told me, says, "Close everything up, Sarge, and get it all ready, because you're going to be leaving this now. You won't be in this here no more."
Were you a sergeant then?
What's that?
You were a sergeant or a private?
No, I was just a PFC.
Okay.
I was just nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and then so they said, "You taking you guys take that, and then you're assigned to Battery C, the 114th Anti-Aircraft Gun Battalion. That's going to be your outfit." And okay. So then we went to where their spot was, and we went in there, and then we lined up, and they told me, says, hollering at all the guys out there. The first sergeant was out there hollering at everybody, you know. You're a bunch of recruits, you're nothing but a bunch of stinking recruits. He says, "I'll teach you." You know, he was a regular Army guy, you know, and he was really bellowing at us, you know. He was scare everybody. So we went through that, and he says out there, he says, "How many out there who brought the kitchen cars in? You know, who brought them in with the train, you know?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I do, I threw my arm up, you know, and he says, "Step out." I stepped out. He says, "You're going to be a cook in the outfit?" I said, "Well, so I guess I'm going to be with something." And the first sergeant says, "You're done then. You leave here and you go up to the mess hall, big mess hall." And he says, "You'll take over from up there." So I went up there, and then the other guys are all moving out. The cadre, they call it, you know, would go moving out, and
The rest of your outfit was
then
leaving?
I replaced the group.
Okay.
All the other guys left. Not all of them. They left. I think there was 3 guys they left that were learning, you know. So they left them 3, plus me, and then they signed me to that, and then they signed me to cook and baker school. There was a school down there, you know. I didn't have to go, but they said, "You want to go, you can go." I said, "Yeah, I'll go."
Yeah.
So I went to cook and baker school, and at the same time I was cooking all the time. And we fed, we fed a lot of, and we had a big dining room, and we had soldiers stand at each end of the tables, you know, and keep the bowls filled, you know.
Is that when you had the POWs working for you? Was that in the
No.
POWs?
I
that
didn't
was
know
later?
POWs then. No.
That was
No,
later.
these are American guys.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so when you first came in, what year was it?
43.
43? Okay, yeah. So.
And but the thing was that I still remember the names of. There was one fella. It was Howard King, and he was learning to be a cook. He was a cook, pretty good. And then there was Dewey Steele. He was from Tennessee. He was like a staff sergeant. He was a head knocker in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
And then there was one other guy from Nebraska. He was a bruiser, big bruiser.
He carried the bags of potatoes,
We
right?
took care of us. He left all the big sides of meat. We had whole sides of meat, you know, bring them in trucks, bring them into where the kitchen was, and we'd have him lift them off the hook, and he'd hang them. he did all. He was a good guy though. He didn't mind. He was always bragging how tough he was, you know. The guys we used in there.
So now how long did you stay in Texas?
I was in Texas for about 6 months.
Okay.
I think it was 6 months. I'm guessing. I can't really remember.
Yeah, yeah. And then you were shipped
4
out.
months maybe at the moment, maybe 6 months. And then we had our training on the Oro Grande Desert. That's where we went out.
Oh, okay.
And we would go out there for a week, and then I had a cook out there too. I had to make meals on that desert.
In the desert?
It was terrible, yeah, but we did. And we cooked the meals, and we set up big tents, and then they brought me ice, and they truck would come with loads of ice. And I remember they brought us butter. We didn't eat butter, but they brought us butter, you know, and we'd slice the butter in cubes, like, you know, and we'd put it in round pans, and then we'd put the ice in the pan, you know, and have ice floating on the top. And then when we serve it, we put it out there, and then it would. But anyhow, they shouldn't have sent us butter, but that's what they did. And then we fed out there. We cooked full meals, yeah. And then we were right below the mountains out there, and the one mountain went right up. Right alongside where we were at, and then we were set down in this valley like the billy goats. This is the best part of the whole story. The billy goats would come down out of the mountain, you know, in the morning, and then dump the garbage cans over, you know. We'd have garbage that we had for them to come and pick up, and they'd haul. And every morning I'd go down and get to the kitchen, and it wasn't even daylight yet. And I'd get down there and hear the garbage cans be all dumped over, you know. And then I'd see them, and they're standing there, meh, meh, at me, you know. And then I'd try to chase them, you know, and they didn't want to go, you know.
Yeah.
And they were mean.
They were looking for breakfast.
Well, they were mean. They
Yeah.
wanted to buck you, too.
Yeah.
So we got together with the guys, and I told the guys, I said, well, we're going to have to put up with them billy goats. In the morning, I said, let's get rid of them. Let's run them up a hill. So I said, we made a big circle. That one day we got all the GIs, you know, we made a big circle. And everybody was going to be tough. So we made the circle. And nobody was supposed to break, you know. You were supposed to hold your arms together, and when they come at you, just take it. So they would go around the circle, and they keep running right at you, and then they'd stop. And they turn and go for somebody else, you know. And then some guy, it all wound up where this guy broke this column, you know, and then they all headed out up the hill. And then he got up there and he's standing on a ledge, and meh, meh, at us guys, you know. It was funny, but that was a game like we played. And so then when we left there, we had to go do your basic training. That was, that was your gas mask.
That was still in Texas, when you were still in Texas?
Yeah. You had to take a gas mask and go in a tent, and they'd let something go, and you're supposed to get a smell of it and raise it up. And then from then on, you go out to the firing range, and then they had the guns 4 feet. They're automatic. I didn't know that, but I found later they were set 4 feet high.
But they were using live ammunition, right?
What's that?
They were using live ammunition?
Yeah. Well, when you, then you had to come out of a trench, maybe down there, maybe 75, 100 yards out of a trench, and then crawl toward them guns when they were firing them over you. They're firing over the top of you. But you don't get up.
No.
Because they're set at a level, and they tell me they were live ammunition, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
how did you find out you were moving out?
what?
How did you find out when you were moving out, when you were going overseas?
Oh, well, we knew it was coming because each outfit was, see, our colonel's name was Colonel Summers. And this is a story, now I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard the story that he was at Pearl Harbor when Pearl Harbor was blown apart, you know. And he was one of the colonels there. And they sent him back here to the States. I mean, this is a story. I don't know if it's true.
Right.
And he come back to the States, and they put him in charge of organizing these anti-aircraft groups. It was in a 90 millimeter ACAC. So then he's the one that stayed with us all the way through. And then when we left, he thought, the way I understood the story, we thought that we were going to go to the Pacific, you know, because, you know, that's where he was from. No,
Right. No.
they sent us to Africa.
You went right from Texas to Africa,
Yeah.
to North Africa?
No, yeah. We went to, we boarded a train and we left, we left Texas. We took a train all the way to New York. And we went to right to the ocean, you know, and we got it. They had a place for us to stay that night, but the next morning, you had to have shots. Everybody had to have a lot of shots, and you had to get lined up, and it hits you with the needle on both shoulders and all that, you know. And you get your shots, and then well, you just wait, and then all of a sudden we got the word, "You guys are moving out." And all Sea Battery moved out. And we go.
And is that the company you were with, Sea Battery?
Yeah, Sea Battery.
Okay.
Well, I was with the 114th Anti-Aircraft, and that was A, B, C, and D battery.
Okay.
So there's so many batteries.
Uh-huh.
And I was in Sea Battery. And then they took us to the ship and lined up, thousands of guys. And there was that big ship, Monticello, USS Monticello.
That was the ship you were on?
That was the big baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sitting there, and we lined up, and you go up the deck, and when you get there, you got your bag on one shoulder, and you got your little bag, and you're loaded. Your gun and everything, your helmet, everything, you're loaded. And you start up the gangplank. This is the best part. I never forget it. There's women, I guess they were...
The wax?
What's the women's name that they give out stuff to the soldiers? And
USO?
Yeah, probably USO, and it was the other ones too.
Yeah,
The ones that go to disaster
Oh, the
areas.
Red Cross?
Yeah, Red Cross. Yeah,
Yeah.
Red Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're lining up. You're about three in a row going up that, you know, the plank.
Yeah.
And you got that bag. And I remember I had my bag on one shoulder, and it's full of clothes and all that, you know, and there other stuff. And she's, "Here you go, soldier," and she's shoving this at me, you know, and I had no place to get a hold of it. And it's like, I said, "What the?" So she got it over there somehow. She's shoving it, and I thought she'd put it by my collar someplace where my collar was, shoving it. And you know what it was? And later on on the ship, it was a toothbrush and some toothpaste and it's a bar of soap, stuff that you might need, you know.
Yeah.
It was nice, you know, but anyhow, that's what happened. And then we got on the ship. Well, you see, I wasn't in the infantry.
Uh-huh.
Infantry caught the bad part.
Yeah, yeah.
Infantry went down to the lower deck on that ship, that Monticello.
Yeah.
E deck was the lowest deck you could go on that I knew.
Uh-huh.
That's down in the bottom, way down. There's thousands and thousands of troops. I mean, you know, I don't know how many thousand were on there. And they took well, I was put on security guard because I had a rating. I had already made, before I left Fort Bliss, I had got a rating. I think I was a tech, I don't know what this, technical sergeant.
Okay.
3 stripes with a T. I think that's what it was, or a corporal, I'm not sure. Anyhow, so right away, after we got on our ship, and we got where our location was at, where you swing in a hammock, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, I thought, what's going on? You never get there, and you right away start grabbing you for something.
Yeah.
And they right away grab me, "Hey, Sergeant Bishop, Sergeant Bishop!" And I thought, they ain't calling me. Nobody knows me. What am I? Nothing. I'm nothing. And he kept repeating it. Well, then a guy come down there and says, "Hey, they're calling you. You're supposed to go on security guard on the lower part of the ship. So you're supposed to leave everything and go on security guard." okay. So I just had the bunk with it. I go. Well, I had a carbine rifle, and it was ammunition. It was loaded. Nobody had them but certain people, on the ship. And so I went, and then I had this buck sergeant was in charge, and he says, "Hey, we calling each other names, like Frank and he knew me." He says, "They told me you're supposed to take that 1/4. We're supposed to go, and that's the one that's down in compartment E." I said, "Oh no, that's down the bottom of the ship, And he said, "Well, you don't have to go down there, but you're going to have to guard that entrance. You'll let nobody down and nobody up unless you got papers and permission." Okay, and I do it so many hours, So then I get relieved, and somebody relieved me, and then I go be off duty, and then that's what I did. Well, anyhow, they told me, they called my name, and they told me to go to where the captain of the ship was. And he says, he told us there was 4 or 5 of us guys. He said, "I want you guys to go down there where all the men are." It was thousands of soldiers down there, and it was hot down there. And a little bitty fan in the corner, a little bitty one like in your house, in the corner, and it was so hot, Geez, I don't know. And they were spraying the guys, delousing them, with a spray gun. And I thought, "Gee, this is awful. I don't want to be down here."
No.
And
Hard to breathe, I bet.
And then I went go back up, and he said, "Well, you're supposed to take 50 guys at a time. You take 50 guys out of here at a time, and then you go up on deck." That was in the evening. This is the evening that we're talking about. You take them up on deck, and you and this other one, you let them go, and tell them they can sit around up on the deck, and we can get some fresh air in there. Well, what happened? we go up there, and I told the guy, I said, "Hey, look, do me a favor. Don't break loose and scatter. If you scatter," I says, "then I'm going to get it for letting you scatter." And I says, "I don't want to get in trouble, and you don't want to get in trouble, so why don't you just go up on deck and relax and don't scatter, Oh, that was like talking to as soon as they got up there, they were all over the ship.
Yep.
They were in the lifeboats, hanging over the sides. Christ's sake. And then I got hell. And they told me, "How would you let them go?" I said, "How could I keep them? They're scattered as soon as they got up there."
Yeah.
Them guys are suffering down there. It was bad, real bad.
Yeah.
It was summertime, it was hot down there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And, but anyhow, then we got back on there. Oh, that was terrible. And
So how long did it take you? Did you go straight over to the
No.
Straits? No.
no.
Uh-huh.
We sailed out of New York. We were out, I don't know, I don't want to lie, but I'll guess 2 days
Uh-huh.
or days out of New York. We had 72 ship convoy. I
Wow.
remember that. 72 ships. We were the flagship. You know what the flagship is?
That's the one in the front.
That's the
right?
leader.
Yeah.
We were the flagship. We were out 2 days, and all of a sudden the ship stopped. It's floating in the ocean. Oh, you suspect something's wrong. Well, the boiler room on that mountain blew up.
Ooh.
And I think it was 2 Marines. I'm not telling no lies. I think it was 1 or 2 Marines were killed down there, because they always got Marines down in the boiler room,
Mm-hmm.
On every ship they have a Marine. And because I watched them bury them at sea. I was on the deck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I watched them.
What they do, just like you see it in the movies, where they put them on a board and just like slide them in the ocean?
Well, the way they buried them, they had a service, and they had to. We were at a standstill. Like, we weren't moving at all, hardly. And there was all kinds of, I don't know, the sub chasers. They said they were sub chasers. They were circling us so we wouldn't get sunk by the Germans, because they were sinking everything around New York, Anyhow, I was on security guard, and I was up on deck, and I watched when they brought the Marines up from below, I was up on the port, not the port, or the front of the ship, and they brought them up and they had them wrapped and they were in a box, like, you know, and brought them up. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell this stuff or not.
I think at this point you probably can. If
Okay.
there's anything later on we want to cut, we can.
I don't want to get in trouble with it.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. I don't think
Well, it was
after
no
50
secret.
years,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just a memory,
Yeah.
and it will never forget me because I'll take it with me.
Yeah.
And they took and they had a rope. Well, they had down below. I was watching. We see it was the USS Texas,
Oh,
the battleship. You know, the destroyer. It was a destroyer. He was coming up alongside. It was this big ship we're on. You know, you look down and you watch them. They would come up real slow alongside, and he pulled up alongside, and then they had a rope. They shot a rope from ours down to them, way down. That rope went way down like that, you know, to that ship, and then it sat there and bobbed there, you know, bobbed there, and then they put the body, or I don't know, they had a box. It was in a box. I don't know how they do it, but it was wrapped, and they hooked it on it and they let it go down, and it went down a pulley, and it went down to them guys down there, and then they took it off, and then they sent the other one down. There was two of them that I remember died. And they couldn't keep the bodies because we were going to Africa. We were going to be 14 days out on the water. So it was, how would they keep their body?
Right.
So they buried them at sea, and I watched them how they did it, and it was sad.
Yeah, those were the first guys that you knew that passed when you were in the service, weren't they? Yeah, it had to be hard.
Anyhow, they moved slowly back. The destroyer was sitting alongside, and he kept on moving real slow, just drifting back away from our ship.
Yeah.
And he had the bodies on there, and I was right in full vision because I had control of that one side.
Yeah.
And I watched him, and he kept dropping back, dropped real slow. They dropped back, and he dropped back, and he got back so far, and they had on the destroyer is they're real close to the water level.
A lot lower down
See,
to the water.
they're not like a big ship. The water is real
Right.
close to the deck, and they had a gate there on it. There's a gate, and they had they had a board or plank or whatever it was that went out there, and they had the body on there, and then they pushed it off and let it go. And then they did both of them, and then they bring that up then,
Yeah.
and they let the bodies sink to the bottom, and then they drifted. They sat there for quite a while. The Texas, it sat there, and just like it was drifting, you know. And then they moved away real slow, and they come up back by us there again, you know. And then I don't know where they went.
Yeah, they're real respectful. So here you are sitting in the middle of the ocean, dead in the water, right?
What's that?
So here you are on the Monticello,
Yeah.
dead in the water. You can't go anywhere.
We can't go no place because we're sitting still. We're moving. We're not even moving. Our ship is. It blew that boiler room up. Well, but they didn't get it going.
Okay.
But before they got it going, it was maybe a day or two. We drifted.
Yeah.
But they had. I was on security deck, and when I'm looking out there on the water, I said, no, this ship's going to go down. You know, I told myself we're going to sink because we're sitting like a duck, and it's big. It's not a little toy. It's a big ship.
Right.
And I thought, geez, I was worried. You know, I thought, I don't wonder what's going to happen. It blows out of this water, you know. And then I don't know what it was, how long it took. I didn't time it, but it was a long time. And then all these little ships out there, I see all these little black things along the water, out in the ocean area. And it was at night, and they were like, the moon was shining or what, they were like blips, you know, you see.
Uh-huh.
And so I reported it to the captain, and I told him, I said, you know, I don't know if there's subs out there or what they are, but on this starboard side, you got a whole bunch of blips out there, and they're shining, and they're moving. They're above the water, and they're not high above the water, but you can see the outline.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, Sarge. He said, we got it all. It's all down. We got it all. We know what's going on. Well, what they were, I found out later. He didn't tell me that, but I found out later that them were sub chasers, they call them.
Sub chaser.
Oh.
And they must have called them in from New York, you know, because the Germans
Yeah,
were
to
sick and
protect
everything,
you.
you know.
Yeah, for protection.
Did the whole convoy stand still until your boiler was fixed, or did they go on?
Oh no, they left.
They
Left. The whole thing left. They were gone.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
So it
because
was-
we were the flagship.
Yeah.
See,
So it was just the Monticello sitting there
That's
waiting
it.
for the boiler. to get
we were
fixed.
it. And then, so when we got moving, well, after this was all taken care of, and they got the machine shop down there or whatever they did, something blew up. They got us going, and then we were moving slowly,
Mhm.
and we moved along. And then before long, we had all kinds of ships coming up around, you know, coming up like little, I don't know what they were, dinky sub chasers or something. And they come along, you see them out there in the water, and they circling us. They kept us circled. So it took us 14 days to go to Africa.
Okay.
We done more. After that 14 days, that was the only incident. We got to Africa. Well, we got to North Africa, or ran North Africa. And
That was the name of the town, the port?
that was a
Iran.
big port, but it was all ships sunk out there. All you see was smokestacks.
Oh.
Smokestacks all sticking up in the water. They say, I heard it, somebody said that he still got them out there. They never moved them. They sunk the ships and they just said,
What country was that? Was that Morocco?
Iran.
Iran?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is at the Rock of Gibraltar. You
Okay, at the
know,
Rock
you
of
know where the
Gibraltar.
Rock of Gibraltar
Mhm.
goes in and splits Algeria and Brazil and all those towns. And then Spain is on this side.
Right.
Well, Spain was neutral. See, Spain was the country that was neutral all through the war. If I'm right now, I could be wrong. But then the Germans, they knew that Spain was, and they weren't supposed to fly over Spain, but they did. They flew. That's why North Africa, they were ruining us, you know. See, because they fly over Spain, and they could come with a full load and head back.
Mm-hmm.
So then the United States, that's where we went then. We went there right on the point. We were sitting right on a point up in the mountains. We were in the mountains. And we had a 90 millimeter ACAC guns. They were set up, the gun crews had set them up, and there was 16 altogether because there was 4 batteries, you know. So they were set all around there. And, but as long as I was there, I didn't see much action. It were getting fortified. They knew what was there.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have anybody to shoot at when you
Oh,
were there?
yeah, we shoot at. Here I'll tell you, for instance, one funny thing. I was a cook, and I did cooking for all the whole outfit, but I had to go to gun number 3 was the gun I had to go to when the siren blew.
Uh-huh.
Drop everything, go to gun 3, and you get the ammunition out of the boxes. You know, big shells, they're big, and then you all get in line. You get so many guys, and you're ready. You got them all ready, and the guy at the gun, he does the firing and he does the fuse set. But there's 9 guys on a gun crew, and they all sit in little chairs around the gun. See, they all sit there, and they all got a screen, and it's all like a television set, and they watch. They're taught to watch the blips and make out what them blips are. See, if it's a plane or what it could be, it's something that isn't bad or something. But anyhow, you got 9. When all 9 guys are on They're all got their zeros all lined up. The gunner gets a signal, and then he fires, because they're on the plane.
Uh-huh.
See? That's the way they do it. The fuse is automatically set by the crew, and then they fire. And it isn't like shooting a gun, you know. He don't. They got to have ammunition up to him, and he's got to be ready. But when he gets his markings, that's when he lets it go.
Right. Right.
But yeah, sometimes I never seen him hit nothing. I mean, I wasn't always there, but
So you were up in the hills then above the port, right? Watching for planes to come over from Spain?
Yeah, okay. Here's what happened. This is just an incident one day. I didn't get to see everything, but what I did see. One day, all the guys, the siren was blowing, you know, we had a siren. Everybody runs to the gun, you know where you go. You know your destiny. So, I was up at the kitchen, and I knew what gun I was supposed to go to. And so I left. And I thought, I wonder what's up now. Well, we better go. Because we didn't know if they were coming in big force or what, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to the gun, and I went to gun 3. And we look up there, and I only see one plane. One airplane, way up there. Man, you could hear it, and you knew it was a German plane because their motors sound different than the United States planes. They in and out. Ooh, ooh. Ours, but you say, well, that's a crowd up there. He's up there. So he's way up there. I mean, you can hardly see him. And they got the guns on him, but they could never reach him because he's too high.
Too high. Ah.
See, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 So they're sitting on target. They're on target, and everybody's watching him, and he's circling the whole area, you know, not doing no damage, dropping anything. But I think he was picture taking, you know.
Yeah.
Recon, yeah.
Yeah, a recon. Yeah. And so I'm watching him, you know, and I said, all of a sudden I thought, hey, he's diving, you know. And I told the guy, he's coming, and he put it in a straight, and boy, they scream, and they make a funny noise, and he's coming straight on down. Straight on down. I thought he was going to go right in the ocean, you know.
Yeah. Well.
No, he come right down before he hit the water, you know, and he's pulling it out, you know, and all you could do is hear screeching, and that plane just make a funny noise, and he pulls it out, and when he pulled it out, he was just the whole beach along that Mediterranean there, you know, is all sand. It was all sand beach.
Yeah.
And he brought that plane down. I don't know how he did, but he brought it down, and he landed it right on the beach.
Oh my gosh.
We had binoculars looking down at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He landed it, and he got out of the plane and quit.
Oh, he was done.
Yeah, he quit. That's what the guys told me. He quit. I didn't go down there, but they were down there after.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the end of the war for him.
Yeah. So then that was right there, and then another place. Well, I think I told you this. One morning we were we had breakfast. You know, I had cooked. It was outside. It was warm, and.
Do you want me to get that?
Yes.
I'll pause this right here.
The one story that, well, a lot of the stuff involved, we left Africa. Oh, before we left Africa, I'll mention this. We were at a place, and we made breakfast in the morning, you know. And we were cooking. We watched our. There was a plane. It was not a C-47. No, it was bigger. I forget the name of it, but anyhow, it was our tow plane. It pulled our tow target, so that when they went along the coast, then they'd fire the guns at the sleeve.
Okay.
For practice.
Uh-huh.
And that plane. Well, I didn't know the guys. Most of the guys knew them that went up in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one morning, it was a Sunday morning, and I was up at the kitchen. I went up there, and and he used to come by on Sunday morning. He'd come in, and he'd come in real low. He'd come over our kitchen top and wiggle his wings, you know,
Uh-huh.
and let us know it was him, you know. And we'd take a broom or whatever we had, and we'd wave it at him, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then he'd go. But this one morning, he'd come over the area, come in low, pull it up, kept on climbing, and then he pulled a left, went to the left, and circled like, and we heading out that way. And all of a sudden he comes straight on down, went right into the trees.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Killed them all. Yep, they were all killed.
Wow.
The engine must have quit or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that he maybe didn't give it enough throttle or what, but it lost its air power.
Wow. Oh, that must have been rough.
And that was pretty close to where we were at, you know. And I don't know how many was on it, a couple officers or something. But that was just an incident. That a lot of stuff happened like that over there. You know, even my buddy was in a tank. I wasn't there, but he was in Africa where I was, and he was going through the mountains up in North Africa,
Uh-huh.
and with the tanks,
Yeah.
and they were in a column,
Uh-huh.
and there was so many in the column, and they're on that road, and he said that they were number 3 in the column, and they had to pull out because something went wrong, and they had to pull out on the side. So they pull up on the siding, like, and the next tank behind him filled in where he'd pulled out.
Right.
And when he pulled out of there, and he moved just a short distance, the Germans had zeroed in, and they blew that tank all apart,
Oh.
where he would have been, you know.
Yeah.
He said it just blew him right off. And he said that his name was Foster. He lived in Madison. And he was a nice guy, and he told me he was all shook up over that, you know, 'cause
Yeah,
we were
'cause
friends.
it could have
you know.
been, yeah.
But
it's-
that's the way war is, you know.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that's Africa. We left Africa. We got on a boat, and we were supposed to go to Bizerti.
And where's Bizerti?
In Tunisia.
Okay.
It's all along the Mediterranean.
Right.
So we got on a boat, and Sicily. We were going to go into Sicily. And then Italy was getting hit at the same time. They were just thousands of ships hitting Italy, invading. So we went and scootered by them and went in around the bay, like, and went into this Sicily part right in there.
Yep.
And that's where we were at for quite a while. We were on a mountaintop up there, and
Just watching for planes again?
What's that?
Watching for planes to come by, the
Yeah,
German
but
planes?
there was no more planes. We didn't water those planes, but we didn't see them. They weren't coming after us. Italy was getting invaded,
Right.
and they had everything concentrated on that. And then Africa was done because they were beat.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there was one airfield. I seen it right there. It was right near Bizerti. Near Bizerti, that was in the triangle there. And at Bizerti there was a base. Anyhow, when we went there, well, there was no shooting there. That was pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to pass to go down to the where the ships came in,
Mm-hmm.
and guys that try to get some American beer, you know, we couldn't get none of that, but the sailors could get it. You know? So our guys would go down there, and they'd go down there, and then they had tricks, you know. They'd ask a sailor, "Hey, we'd like to get a glass of beer." "Oh, here, take my hat." And he'd put the sailor hat on, and he was a sailor then, you know what I mean? And then he'd get in the line, he'd get his beer. They had all kinds of tricks, you know. It was funny. And then those guys right there, when the Germans lost, when we were on a convoy on this road, and it was a German airport right along the road there, a big one I mean big.
Mhm.
And you could look, and there was airplanes, the ME-101-9s and all that. Like I got a book over there that shows you all the, I read a lot about the fighters and all that, and I learned a lot of things I didn't know. And that airfield there, they were just lined up with brand new airplanes, brand new ME-107s they call them, fighter planes, no gas, no fuel.
Yes, yeah.
And where's this, in Sicily? Are you still in Sicily?
Oh, this
What's
was-
that?
Are you still in Sicily with this? Where that was? Was it?
No,
at-
that's well, that's between Sicily. It was between Sicily and Verdun.
Well,
Well,
you said it was near Bizerti. Is that-
What's that?
Did you say that was around Bizerti? Where you saw the airfield?
where these airplanes were,
Yeah.
it was right there by. No, it wasn't in Sicily. It's still Africa.
It's still Africa, right? Yeah.
Still Africa.
Tunisia, there, right? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, when you were in
Near
Sicily,
Bizerti, I think it was.
Bizerti.
Bizerti.
yeah, when you were in Sicily, were you on the north side of Sicily near Palermo, or were you where in Sicily did they have you stationed?
We
Remember?
we didn't get stationed in Sicily.
Oh no.
We were stationed. I'll just draw you a picture with my hand.
Uh-huh.
The Mediterranean goes straight in like this, okay, and then it breaks off to your left like this, see, and then it keeps on going and it goes like this. It's a port right here where it breaks off. It turns like that. We went right around the corner, and then we went straight in so far, and then we had the Navy had made a base in there.
Oh, okay.
See, that was on the North Africa side.
Oh, North Africa.
Sicily was straight in here.
Uh huh.
So you're straight in. If we kept on going straight, you went right into Sicily. See,
Yeah.
that's Sicily right there. And then it goes around like this. Well, where these Germans where they had these planes were all at, was right there where you made that turn and went into, you're still in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And you make your turn right. But it was, I don't know, there was, the names of them was, I can't remember. It was Casablanca,
Right.
Tunisia, Sicily, oh gee, all
Now, didn't you tell me before that you were on your way to Sicily, but before you got to Sicily, they had you turn around and go back up and go back out to England? Is that right, or did I get that wrong?
No, that's how we were there, and we were sitting on a mountain, right at the end of Africa, where it turns like this in a big bay, and it goes into Sicily.
Okay.
We sit right on top of this mountain here,
Uh-huh.
right on top. It was a big mountain, and then right down below us there was this base. You know, that was where the ships pulled in there.
Uh-huh.
And that's what the United States had took over.
Right.
See, so that Sicily, it was across from there.
Okay.
See, over in that angle. And Sicily was invaded by the Americans too. Sicily, we didn't go into Sicily.
Okay.
No, we were right there, but we didn't. We were still in North Africa on the
Okay.
point where the food it goes like this. See.
Uh-huh.
But we had, well then we were there so long. We didn't stay there long. And then we got orders. They said we're moving out. So we moved out again. We got on the ship, and we thought we were going into Italy, because Italy was getting pounded bad right then and there. The water was just covered with ships. You had to fight to get through there. They had so many ships. So we thought we were going into Italy. No, we went right around the Horne and went right back up like this,
Mm-hmm.
and we went right back to North Africa, Oran. And our ship pulled in the port at Oran. We got off, and they put us in a staging area like where we were before, something like that. And we were there for not long. Oh, we were there long enough. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple months or so.
Uh-huh.
And then we got orders to, we were moving out. So we got on that ship again, and then they took us out of there, a little bitty ship. It was like a paper box. It took us all the way around Spain to Horne,
Uh-huh.
and right along the coast. We were close in. They didn't want us out in the water because there's big subs and all of them were laying there. Just would have blown us
Waiting.
out.
Yeah.
So we scooted all the way along and went up to English Channel.
Okay.
And before we got to the English Channel, no, we went right up through the English Channel. That's when they were sinking at Bismarck or something. They were trying to sink the Bismarck or something. But we were right on the coast. We went right in where D-Day was at, you know. We went right along there,
Yeah.
all by ourselves, and went into the English Channel, the mouth of the English Channel, and then right off of there is that the Irish Sea? No.
That would be to the west. The Irish Sea would be to the west of Britain. So if you're going up by the coast, if you go to the Irish Sea, that means you would have cut west.
Well, we
To go
went
in between.
into the channel,
Yeah.
and we got into the channel between Britain
Uh-huh.
and where
France.
was bad fighting. It was on. In other words,
So
it'd be on the. Let's see, it'd be on the to this side. It wouldn't be on that side of England, because on this side is where Ireland is over here,
Right.
and this is on that side.
Yeah.
It was on that side.
So you were on the
so
east
so
side.
you were in the English Channel.
Was it?
So you were in the English Channel going
Yeah,
north.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we went in there, all by ourselves, that little old ship, and they're blowing them horns, ooh, ooh, the morning hour, you know, and all that, ooh. And I said, gee, if we make it through here, we're gonna get some. So we made it up through there, and you know where we wound up at? Scotland.
Ah, Scotland. Okay.
Yeah, we went into port in Scotland, because I remember I was on deck, and I seen them, remember the old milk trucks they used to have delivering milk?
Mm-hmm.
I seen this along the shore where the mountains are. I seen that road, and I said to the guys, hey, look at that milk truck. Where are we at, you know? And it was a milk, you know, delivering milk.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was.
So that's the
where
first you knew you were in Scotland.
Yeah, we were in Scotland, and we landed there, and then we went into. Well, they got us off the ship, and then we got on trains, all of us,
Uh-huh.
and our equipment got all unloaded, and then we went down to Winchester, England.
Oh, okay.
And from Winchester, England, this is a long story.
Mhm.
Winchester, England, we stayed there, oh, I say 2 months. We're getting ready for the invasion of France.
Right.
We were supposed to go in.
Right.
Well, when I was there, I found out my brother Johnny that was in Panama Canal. I hadn't seen him in years and years. He was at, my dad wrote me a letter and it says, your brother's in England. I said, he can't be in England. He's in Panama. I mean, well, I said, I'm going to check it out. So I knew this Colonel Summers, you know, the guy I told you that started out with us.
Yeah.
And at breakfast time, I had his breakfast all set for him and everything. And I says, he's touchy. You got to watch when you talk to him. So
Yeah.
you knew the right time. So I says, Colonel Summers. He says, yeah, Frank, what do you want? I said, well, I got a question. If you could answer it for me. And if you can't, that's all right too. I got a brother, my dad says, over here, and he's in England. Could you tell me where he's at? He's in a hospital. And he says, do you know what hospital? I said, well, there's a name on the paper. I got it and give it to him. I'll let you know. You know, that's the way they are.
Yeah.
No conversation. I'll let you know. By God, the next morning, he had it all written down. Told me where it was at. Give me a pass. Give me a permit to ride the trains. Give me a, and then I wouldn't have no money because we can get paid for months, you know.
Yeah.
And I told my first sergeant, I said, you know, I don't have no money. I said, if I could scrape $20 together, I'd get a train and I can go down to the lower part of England, and then I go find that hospital and see my brother. And so we scraped enough together, and I got down there. The only trouble is they were dropping them beam bombs were going over at the time,
Oh yeah.
and everything was blackout. Everything, you didn't know where you're at. And I found my way though, and I got to the hospital, and I seen him, and he had hurt his back or his neck or something.
Uh-huh.
And so but when I got there, I got off this train, and everything's blackout, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lady that was riding on this train that I was on, and they got compartments like, see, you open the door and you slide. Well, she was in there alone, and I just thought I better not go in there. Maybe she's got somebody else.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, you can come in." And she was an English lady, and I said, "Well, I'm going to this town," and I said, I didn't know where I should sit. You know, she can sit here. This is open. So I sat down, and then when we got off of the train, you know, when we got where our destination was, I let her go out first. She went out first. They had them sliding doors. She went out first, and then I followed her, and then everything's black out. I didn't even have a flashlight or nothing.
Oh my.
Everything. So somebody says, "Put your hand on the shoulder of the one in front of you." Well, which I did. I put my hand on her shoulder. You know, she had her hand on somebody else. And that's the way we walked from the station, you know, and you couldn't see nothing. Everything's black.
Wow.
And we went, I don't know, a long ways. And then when we got there, we knew we were getting into some little town or something, you know. And so we kept on walking, and then somebody said up ahead, they said, "When you get up here so far, you can pull this here along." It was a big canvas, you know. You can pull that and you can go inside, but don't open it wide. Just open it enough to go in.
Mm-hmm.
When we opened it up, it was just like daylight in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah. So I went in there, and then I didn't know nobody, and all young guys from the United States, young kids, all young kids. You know, I mean kids, and these kids are. A lot of them were drinking. A lot of them were, you know, wild. And a big place. And so I asked this one sergeant that was in charge of mess hall, I said, "Is there a place where I can sleep tonight?" And he said, "Well, yeah." He says, you can have that cot over there." I said, "Okay." So that's where I was going to bunk out. I just laid down. Some guy come up and grabbed me and yanked me out of there, you know. And I thought, "What the heck is it?" And he said, "That's my bunk." And he was drunk, you know. American guy, he said, "That's my bunk." I said, "Well, I'm sorry." I said, "The first sergeant over told me I could sleep there." You know, well, this is a cot, you know. So I said, "Oh, take it." You know. So then I went wandered around, and I found another one. I laid down. I went to sleep till daylight. You know, it was horrible. But all these young guys, now that whole group, I know where they were going, because you could hear them at night talking. There's a lot of them were drunk in it. We're never going to see no fighting. What do we come over here for? You know, they're all young kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And I listened to that at night, and I thought, I wonder what are they talking about? They know that the big break is going to come. They're going to open it. They're going to go in Omaha Beach, and that's going to be it. You know.
Right.
And then when they come, that was it. Them kids, they were like flies over there, mold them down.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
now you stayed in Scotland then until the invasion?
I what?
You stayed in Scotland then till the invasion?
No, I was in England then.
In England?
England.
Uh-huh.
No, I didn't stay there, no. No.
But after you got to see your brother?
After I got to see my brother, he got shipped out in the invasion. He went in the invasion.
Yeah.
At Omaha Beach. I went, I didn't see him no more, only at one time. And then we shipped out, and we went up the English Channel. They put us on a ship, and they sent us up to this town. I can't remember the name of it. It was Bizerti? No. Might have been Missouri. It was on the. It's on the right before you get up to Germany.
Right
It's on
before
the
you get
English Channel.
on the English Channel, yeah.
It's on this side.
In France?
Yeah, and we went in there landing craft, and when we went in there, we didn't know how bad it was. We don't know because we come all the way from Africa all the way up there, you know,
Right.
and we're making the circle. So I was the first. This is the story that I don't like. I was the first guy off of the landing craft. We were on a small ship. We went down to Jacob Ladder all the way down to getting the landing craft. And we got a landing craft. Well, I was number one because I was a sergeant rating, and I had to be the first guy out. I had to be the corner guy, you know, when the plank dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't like that, but that's what I was. And so you got full pack and everything, and we're all ready to go. And we didn't even know what we were going to do. We didn't know why we were all going in like infantry, but that's what we were doing. So we go. The guy, he runs us in there in a landing craft, you know, and we're heading in the shore. And when we got in so far, he stopped, and he dropped that plank, and everybody off. I hollered, "Let's go!" And we went off, and I went off, and I thought it was the end. I kept going. This is my history. I went straight down, straight on down. I kept going down. But when I was a little boy in Madison, we swam in the woods there, Madison Woods. The big guys had made a big swimming hole in a creek. And the water was clean, and it was not like it is now. And they made that swimming hole for the big guys. But the little guys like me, they let us swim in there, but now when them guys are running it, you know. But they were good guys. And so I learned to swim there. And the way they taught me is they told me, they said, "Now you got to get up on that tree. Get up there. I don't want to go to the top. Go up to the top. I'm not going up to the top. Go to the top." Well, finally I got to the top, you know. And they said, "Now just stand there and hold your hands to your sides and let yourself drop. And drop straight down in that hole."
Oh.
I was scared the first time, you know. I was shaking. I said, "Geez, what am I going to do when I hit bottom?" And the guys told me, "Now when you hit bottom," these guys are good, all smart guys, and they said, "When you hit bottom, take your 2 legs and your 2 feet, and then just push up as hard as you can push." And they kept telling me this, and I kept doing it, and was nothing to it.
Yep.
And so then when I got off that ship, I'm telling you the truth, I got off, and I'm number 1 on that corner, and they opened the gate, and the guys are pushing, all coming. I thought, well, here I go. So I went off, and I went straight on down, and I thought, oh man, I'm gone. I held my breath, and I'm loaded with all equipment there, and I hit the bottom. When I hit the bottom, I thought, geez, how did I do? Oh, I know. And I took my 2 feet, and I pushed up real hard, and I come up like a cork. And some guy grabbed we had the straps, you know?
Yeah.
He got a hold of my gun strap and pulled me over to the right, and here I was on ground. I was down in a stinking hole, you know?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Probably a
And
shell
so,
hole or
yeah.
something.
And so I couldn't even thank the guy. I didn't know who did it, you know, because you had to start running and see. But anyhow, that was my worst history of the whole thing. And
So when you were running up the beach, were people shooting at you?
did I what?
When you were running up the beach, then were there people shooting at you?
No. When we got out of the water, they had snipers up in the buildings. They were on the high-rise buildings, like, you know. And we were told, the guy in charge, they hit the ditch on the right or left. Stay in the ditch. So that's what we went. There was a ditch alongside the road, deep, and then you got in that ditch and you crawled along. Everybody went along that ditch, and then they said, well, they just about got them cleaned out, you know. So they stop, and hold it here. And so we held it. We stayed there, and then they said, we think we got it cleaned out up there. They were up in a high-rise building, and they were shooting down, you know.
So you came in a town.
What's that?
So when you came in, it was out of town. In other words, it was not just a beach. You were at a beach that was right by a town that had high rises.
Yeah, it was a big building.
Big
Well,
building,
see, the
yeah.
Canadians went in first. We went in. We were on a Canadian ship.
Ah, okay.
We were with the Canadians. And they were good soldiers. They were real good.
Yeah.
And the American were too, but these guys were good. And they went up. They were in front of us, matter of fact, because when we got up to the top hill, going up the road to the top, they went in first. They knocked the Germans all out.
Was this
They
like?
knocked them out. They knocked out the big gun, 88 gun. They had 80 millimeters sitting on the hill. They knocked them out. They had cavalry up there. They had the Germans had horses underground in like like a cave, and they were all shored up, and they went underground long ways, and there was stalls in there, you know, and then there were sleeping quarters for the soldiers. They had their rooms in there, you know.
So
And,
was this north of Omaha Beach
You
where
what?
you went in? Was it north of Omaha Beach where you went in?
Yeah, we were north. We were, but I can't think of the town. I got a map here.
Was this?
Margaret
was
can
this?
Google it.
Was
She
this
can
the
find it.
You
main?
got a map?
She can find it. She'll find it.
Was this D-Day itself, or was it D-Day +1 or D-Day?
Oh
plus
no,
one?
this was I don't know if it was after D-Day or my brother went in at D-Day.
Yeah.
Did he make it?
No, it wasn't D-Day. No, we didn't go in at D-Day. I don't know what day it was. I
was
can't
thinking
remember.
you told me
that.
D-Day +1.
Huh?
I was thinking you told me one time D-Day +1. So it's the day after D-Day that you
Yeah,
went in.
I don't know. But I know that we.
This was in France or Germany that he went?
France.
Yeah, we didn't get
Just
in
north of Omaha
on
Beach.
D-Day. We didn't go in at D-Day.
Okay.
Northern France coast.
Because we were in infantry. We were anti-aircraft.
Yeah.
And where we went in at is where the Germans had the high ground. What's the name of that town? Darn
Okay,
it.
we'll,
Normandy, Brittany.
no, we'll figure this out.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. So you could.
Don't do this.
Yeah.
You go right up the English Channel, and going in toward Germany, and you get Germany. You go up right up the channel, all the way up like that, and it's on the right hand side.
Yeah. So after
We'll
you were
find
there,
out.
you were in the ditch, and then they said the Canadians cleaned out the snipers, right?
Yeah, the Canadians they had knocked out the German 88 guns, the big guns.
Yeah.
You heard of those? Well, they had knocked them out. They had some of them oriented. They put them up in the air and they put
Yeah.
explosive in them. And
So what'd you do after that? Where did you go? Because you were with the tanks, right? Were you with the tank corps then?
I was what?
Were you with the tank corps then?
No, I was in anti-aircraft.
Okay.
But see, we didn't set our guns up there.
Okay.
But I don't know why they sent us in there in the first place. Why? I mean, I don't know. But that's where we went. They used us like infantry, but we weren't infantry.
Right.
Then we just went in there, and then from there, Jesus, it's a long story. From there we went to, well, the war, I skipped the war and the war ended. I don't know, I can't think no more. Before the war ended, we went down to, before it ended, us guys, our outfit, we went back to Belgium.
Okay.
Belgium. Yeah.
We were on the outskirts of, I might have it all mixed up, but I don't.
That's okay.
Anyhow, we were by Belgium,
Uh-huh.
and they told us, they told me, hey Frank, hey, get all your equipment together, get the trucks loaded, you're heading out. I said, where are we going now? You're going up to Verdun.
Okay.
Ah.
You know where Verdun is?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So we were, We were west of Verdun, not too far. We were by Belgium, right around there someplace.
Yeah.
And he said, you, okay, you guys are moving up. Okay, so now this is just what happened. What I seen, I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it's true. What I seen, I don't know. We come up to Verdun, where the the American cemetery is, and all. It's still beautiful. The Germans didn't ruin it. They didn't ruin the cemetery. It was good. But I seen it because I seen it when we were in uniform and we were parading. Not parading, but in the shooting with you. And anyhow, we come up in convoy up to this Verdun.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big valley there. A big valley.
Mm-hmm.
And it run, to my thinking, it was from east to west. Big.
Yeah.
And down, way down there.
Yeah.
And in World War II, or no, World War I, caves, or ditches,
Oh, the trenches?
trenches, are still in there
Mm-hmm.
when I seen it.
Yeah.
I stood up there and looked at it down there. And when we went up there, now this is the way the story went. I didn't see it all happen, but I got it because we just got in there when it all happened. It had happened before.
Right.
So they set us up. We pulled right along. We were right along the bank, the valley. We were set up along it. All American equipment was set up along there. Machine guns and these ones you sit in and, chairs and all. Everything was all set up along there as protection, all around the town.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now here's the story. This is the way the story went. And I believe it was true because it was terrible. We come up in a convoy, pulling up. And I was in the driver's, not in the driver's, in front with the driver.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, I says, you know what? I says, you know where we're at? And he says, yeah, this is Verdun. This is where there was a lot of fighting went on. It was bad. And all American equipment was set up on, now I don't know, it would have been, to my thinking, it would have been on a west, it run east and west. And it would have been on, as we came in this way, it had been on the right-hand side,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that side. And all American equipment was blown apart. It was the machine guns and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? The story went. This is the story that I got, and I still remember it as it went. And I knew I had a feeling it was true because I seen some of this happen before. They said that 2 P-51 American fighter planes
Yeah.
came in from the, let's say, the east.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is before we got there.
Right.
That's why we were sent there. They come in from the east, and they went down and they machine gunned all the equipment the Americans had on the shoreline there,
Yeah.
all the way to the other end.
So they mistook it for German.
What's that?
They thought it was German equipment, huh?
No. They were Germans flying American P-51 planes.
Oh.
That's what I understood.
Germans
They had
captured them.
captured.
Oh.
Now this is a story.
Oh.
They had captured them 2 P-51s. Now maybe I'm wrong,
Oh.
but I'm telling you just as I heard it.
Yeah.
And the two P-51s riddled both sides, and then they went to the end. And they did a turn, a circle, and they come back and they riddled it again. And went right on through.
Ooh.
Well, they were captured. Somebody told me them planes had been captured by Germans. Americans run out of fuel,
Uh-huh.
and they captured them in Germany, and they outfitted them, and that's what they did.
Wow.
Now, the story, I didn't see it in a book. I didn't see it in writing. I heard it by mouth, and I seen what happened.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I don't
'cause you
think the
just came up
Americans would
like-
shoot their own stuff up.
No, and you came by what, just a day or so later, or the same day?
Oh yeah, it was right after.
Yeah.
You
so,
know,
yeah.
And the stuff was all mangled there, and you know these guns they sit in and they ride around a circle.
Mm-hmm.
All them guns, they blew them apart. Everything, they riddled everything, and that was right near the cemetery, the Verdun Cemetery.
Okay.
Maybe you guys can look up history or something,
Yeah,
see if
we
you
will.
see anything about that.
We will.
Because everything I'm telling you, to me it's true. As I'm telling you the way I got it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I seen it.
Didn't you say there were even people still in the tanks that there, you came across a tank that still had, dead soldiers?
Oh,
in
that
it?
was it. That was at the place where we landed when I was in the water. Where I
Oh,
went
okay.
down.
Uh-huh.
That's where we landed, and then we went. We had to march, and we went up to this mountain top,
Uh-huh.
And when we got up there, oh boy, it was really something. It was something. It was a high point. You could look over the whole coast. You could see all the ships. You're looking at everything. You're up on that mountain, and they had caves in there, and it was full of. You could walk in there. You walk along, and we weren't supposed to go in there, but because you had a lot of detonators in there,
Oh.
stick grenades and stuff. But the Germans were all gone. They were all Canadians routed them out. Well, Canadians had little tanks, not big tanks. They were little tanks, and they went up that hill.
Mhm.
And when we first got there, I know I had a group of guys, and they said, "Yeah, look at that one there." They blew the turret right off of it. The thing was laying along the side. I said, "The poor guys in it. Just think what happened to them." And then we walked a little further, and then we seen the other part of the tank, not the turret, the one with the round part, was laying on the ground. And we looked down in there, and I looked down. I looked inside of it, and there was a lot of scalp parts,
Right.
but stuff like that,
Yeah.
laying in there. Yet they didn't get it all buried. They tried to make a burial there by the tank.
Uh-huh.
The Canadians probably did,
Yeah.
and they had a cross there with their names. And I told the guys, get away from there. Don't go near there.
Yeah.
And they said, well, how bad is it? I said, it's bad. I said, don't look. Just make you sick, and you don't want to look at that.
Yeah.
So come on. So my guys, we all marched, and then we went in a lot of caves and that, and we went through where they had their bedding and stuff, One place we should have went in there. We were off our limit,
Yeah.
because there's stick grenades and all kinds of stuff,
Sure.
hooked on stuff.
Right.
But we went in there anyhow.
Yeah.
And that one I still remember the one. I might have, no, I ain't got the stuff. I think everything's gone.
I got a question real quick. Did you stay with mobile anti-aircraft all the way through the rest of the war?
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
what you-
yeah. Yeah, I was with Andy. Well, we were in 90mm attack. That was our title.
Yeah.
But we were assigned to we weren't just set up later on when we left Africa. We weren't set up with the guns. I don't remember setting the guns up along the coast when we got over let's see.
So what were you using during the main part when you were in Europe? What kind of weaponry were you using? Was it like mobile anti-aircraft, or were you starting to work like regular infantry, or
No.
what was it? Yeah.
Well, we went over. We went anti-aircraft.
Yeah.
90mm bogies, four-wheel bogie they call it.
Ah, okay.
Okay. There was 4 guns to gun crew.
Okay.
There was 16 guns. There was 4 gun crews.
Wow.
A battery, C battery, D battery, and G battery.
Yeah.
4 guns to each battery. And that's the way it was mobilized to set up when you went any place,
Okay.
And that's the way it's set up. Like in Africa, that's the way we were set up.
Okay.
We left Africa. We didn't, I don't remember setting the guns up anymore.
Uh-huh.
Because we weren't on no mountains, and we weren't in no over no big streams and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't remember that, but I remember that we stayed as anti-aircraft, 90mm Atca, and there was 4 gun batteries, A, B, and C,
Gotcha.
and
And
D.
you kept with that unit till the end of the war.
Yep.
Actually,
Well-
Christy, I have a suggestion. Before we finish your European campaign, like right now, it's a good kind of stopping point because you're in Europe, but you're about to keep moving into Germany. Something tells me this might be a good time to stop, if that's okay. Can we come back and talk to you about the rest of your experience in the war a little later?
From where we're at.
Yeah, from where we're at.
Well, yeah, because I could tell you that before we got evacuated, we went. Well, we're done now. That was the last place.
Mhm.
Okay, now I'll tell you quick about that.
Mhm.
At Verdun was a big food depot, I mean, there was Americans that supplied that area with tons and tons of food. The Germans weren't there no more. So that only after that incident with the planes.
Mm-hmm.
That's when that shooting was. Otherwise, they weren't there. But when we left Verdun. That's as far as we got. So they put us on trains at Verdun. I still remember.
Uh-huh.
We got on trains, boxcars.
Boxcars, yeah.
Okay, and us guys all got on those, and we got on a train. We went, I don't know how many days we traveled through France. See? And we wound up at Marseille.
Oh.
That's where we wound up. It's a port.
On the Mediterranean.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we wound up. And that's where we went home from. But that train ride was about, I don't know, 4 days or 3 days, I don't know.
To get to Marseille would be a long train ride
Yeah,
in
the
France
train,
right then.
the train was terrible. It was all boxcars, And anyhow, at one point in there, I skipped it a little bit. I forget. See, I don't remember all the names of the town.
Yeah.
We were at a prison camp. Our outfit was in France, and we went to this prison camp, which 60, 70,000 Germans, big. And we went there, and we lived across the street. We lived in brick buildings. Funny. And I had a big mess hall, big, giant, big. I had pictures of somebody I had to show you. And charged them, and then the Germans, we could use all the Germans we wanted. I could pick out any ones I wanted out there that were cooks in the army or whatever they were. And they were good ones that were trustworthy. And then I could use them. So I had a crew of them, that worked with me. And but then, see, we left there. Oh, I'll tell you this incident real quick. Before we left there, it was one day I was in the mess hall, and it was my day to run the joint. So I'm running, and the guy comes, "Hey, Bishop." I said, "Yeah, what's the matter?" He said, "There's a bunch of colored guys out there in a weapons carrier want to see you. It's all beat up and everything," he said. And I said, "Well, what do they want to see me about? I don't know no colored guys, They said, "Well, they said they got your brother." I said, come on, cut it out. Well, sure enough, I said, "Okay, I'll go down there and I'll see." So I went there. Here was my brother, all beat up. Oh, he was a mess. I almost cry when I see him, And they said we picked him up along the road. These colored guys told me. Well, that's when they were having a break. When the United States couldn't get the planes in to drop the food. You remember? It was winter.
Battle of the Bulge, yeah.
Guys were freezing and everything.
Yeah.
So he was one of them.
Ah.
And he was a radio man. And he, the way he told me his story, him and his buddy, they were observers for the artillery. He was in the field artillery. and they had their orders to move up, and they moved up, and the Germans were counterattacking. So they had a foxhole they were in, and they were told to stay there until they got orders to move, because they had a radio on them. But they were calling the shots, giving them location with the guns, the artillery. He says, this poor kid, he says, all of a sudden they look, and there's the tanks, all kinds of tanks, and Germans coming by the thousands.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they laid down in the hole, and they went right over them. You know, they laid down in their foxhole. And he says then, they stayed there till dark. They kept on going. They were going toward where the Americans were. See, that's when they made that big counter push.
Mm-hmm.
So then, he said, when it got dark, they crawled out of that hole. And they crawled across that field. And he said, they didn't know where they were at, they didn't know where they were going, but they were going. So him and his buddy, they went, and they come to a town, a little bitty place, he said. And they looked around, and then he see these German soldiers walking the streets, you know. And they didn't know what to do, you know. So they thought, well, maybe we can go around them. So they did. They went around them, but I told you, and they come to the farmhouse. He said they come to this here farmhouse, and they only had one gun between the two of them.
Uh-huh.
And so he told his buddy, he says, you want me to take the gun or you take the gun? And you cover me, and you stay back and take care of me, and I'm going to go to the door, and I'm going to pound see if anybody's in there. Everybody. So he went pound on the door. I told you. And the little old lady come to the door,
Yeah.
and she starts screaming, you know. Oh, don't hurt me, don't. You know, screaming, you know.
Yeah.
And next, my brother could talk German, see. He said, next to Hamid, I know hurt. He's speaking German to her, you know. And he said, Essen, we're hungry, we need something to eat. You got something to eat, you know? And yeah. And so he follows her in there, and his buddy, he had him covered, you know. He was
Yeah.
So she got him a bottle of schnapps. That's what the story was. and it was a bottle of schnapps, a full bottle she got. She said, here, American soldier, here, this for you. And then she got some bread, hard bread. He said it was dark bread, you know.
Oh yeah.
And he said, they were starving. So she gave him that bread, and he says, thank you. You know, he told her in German. You know, my brother could speak good German. He says, thank you, and he says, we won't hurt you.
Yeah.
And he says, and then he asked her. He said, how many Germans upstairs? You know, up in the house, because he didn't know when he turned his back they might let him have it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there was no Germans up there, and so that's how he made it back to when them colored guys picked him out in the ditch in the road, see, and brought him to me.
Yeah.
And I was shocked when they brought him there. You know?
Yeah.
It was amazing, you know.
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
So that's the way it went, and yeah, he lived and he died. He was down the soldiers' field. Oh no, look at here,
Hi.
look what we got here.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing? I'm not going to get up.
That's
I
fine.
got bad legs.
That's fine.
How you doing?
You have to